You are now listening to
Journey for Two podcast. Let's check it out.
Practice. So we were just talking about fast, and man, fasts, if you want to enhance your life, if you want to extend your time on this earth, if you want to feel and get healthier, you must fast.
Got to.
Mm-hmm. Now, when people say fast, people get scared, right? People are like, oh, well, I can't go without eating. I can't this. Well, hold on. Do you know what we mean when we say fast? Because there's so many different types of fasts.
Right.
For example, could you go ahead and just kind of run us through the fast that you're on right now?
So right now I'm on a 70-day fast. It's from Yaki. Yaki Raphael Elohim. I can't recall his full name.
And we can catch him on YouTube.
Yeah. Shout out to Yaki.
Could you spell the first name?
Yahki.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yahki.
I believe. Not sure if there's a W in there, but he's a very new generational. I just like his approach. He really brings the science along with. I mean, he's a master herbalist. Biochemist, so I love the fact that he can bring all the scientific data. He does his own labs. He really does it all from top to bottom.
So really quick, YakiAwakened.com. Yaki, so it's YAHKI awakened.com. We'll also put it in the description.
Yeah. But so I'm on this geogenetic fast. It's a 70-day fast. No sex, no water, no cooked food. Steeping food or steaming food is okay, but I still kind of refrain from that because it kind of feels like it's cheating a little bit.
Sure.
It comes with a lot of herbs. So what my brother did, my brother actually bought his package.
Okay.
And then my brother just looked out for me, and he pretty much kind of told me, take this, take that. So I'm still not taking the full regimen of herbs and everything like that.
Sure.
But I'm doing the 3 bitters, plantain leaf extract. I do a Paragard parasitic cleanse.
Yeah.
A couple other little herbs, but it definitely comes with a more wide variety of herbs that comes with the actual package when you get it from the source.
Now, when I was in Denver, my man's I used to go to this Asante market.
All right.
Always in Denver, and it was dope. It was dope too. Unfortunately, COVID ruined it for me, and the brother went all left. Anyways, but I appreciate him and his spot for what it was and what it is to other people, I'm sure. Yeah. Anyways, he used to really swear by these bitters.
Okay.
Could you go through, I mean, how much do you know about the bitters? Like, because I never really got into it.
I know a little bit. So, the 3 bitters tea. So I couldn't have access to all the herbs locally. So I did end up finding supplemental herbs. But so the three bitters herb, I actually have a note for it. I should pull it up real quick. But every bitter is associated with a different part of healing. So one's going to be a lymphatic bitter, one's for like blood, more so blood, liver cleansing type thing, and then I want to say the third might be like more so for like respiratory and stuff like that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah, each bitter is associated with a different part of a healing system or structure within your body.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
How dope is it to take your healing into your own hands?
Oh man, I look back on like a lot of things that I did like prior, and I'm just like, how could I continuously keep that old lifestyle up with what I was eating and whatnot? And not only that, how can you obtain knowledge and know these things and then still continue to tarnish your body in those ways? It's a different level of insanity, if you really think about it.
Wow.
If you really think about it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, go ahead. I'm just go ahead and go back. I know we hop right into the fast.
No, for sure.
Go ahead and, for our audience here at Journey for Two, and we do this podcast that goes into journey to health and journey to economics. We do journey to a whole bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
So Journey for Two, this is going to be a cross of health.
I'm with it, bro.
It's going to be economics. It's going to be just
everywhere,
everything,
bro.
So could you explain kind of, I guess, to the people as how you would like them to know you? We stress with our children, know thyself.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And so go ahead and, if you wouldn't mind, give your introduction to the people of who you are, what you do, what you stand for.
Got you. I go by the name of Hakim. First and foremost, I'm a God. I'm a father. I'm somebody that creates my own reality, a reality that I manifest and materialize my manifestations to live within. We're all gods in the sense of we create our own ecosystems and we create the life that we would like to live in. And yeah, we essentially create our own reality. So a lot of people get tripped up on the verbiage of calling yourself a god. But to be clear, I'm not your God. I'm not the God. I am a God for myself and a God for my children and a God for, again, my family and my ecosystem. So that's me before anything. And then, I'm a creative. I'm an artist. I'm an entrepreneur.
Definitely. Now
I'm a man.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that breakdown as well, because people do get so afraid when someone calls themselves a god.
Yeah. Or
a lot of times, like if I tell somebody like peace God or what's up my G, they look at me like I'm nuts.
Yeah.
And they look like sacrilegious.
Yeah.
Or they look like I said something bad.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always weird to me, because do you not create? Do you not manifest what you do in your life? And it's always weird to me that they can't, or that some can't see that. But not only can't see that, that's okay, but then take it offensive.
Yeah. The offense is, it's because, and then if we want to get tit for tat and then go into, again, you touch on it, by definition, it's just like, by definition, we are godlike. Everything that you described, what your God or the God does, we quite literally do that exact same thing within this realm and dimension here in this earthly world.
On our scale.
On our scale. And if we were made in the image of the Lord, by definition, wouldn't we be that by nature?
So one of my favorite quotes and we'll talk music, I'm sure, a lot here.
Oh yeah.
As the amazing artist you are, but Lauryn Hill, or not Lauryn Hill, Erykah Badu. If we are made in His image, then call us by our names.
Yeah. On and on. Right.
And so it's beautiful when people get to see that and experience that. I also think that if you consider yourself a god, there's a certain responsibility that comes along with that I think you me and other people may experience this as well. But when you call yourself a god and you think yourself as a god, there's a certain psychological responsibility that goes on in your head to the way that you act. Feel,
exactly. You subconsciously uphold yourself to be godlike, and I think nobody should ever have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people were taught to find that offensive. It's like, do you really take offense to that? I have no problem with another brother, because it's just like, I'd rather be surrounded with a lot of people that see themselves as gods versus seeing themselves less of gods and understanding that they will never reach a level or just a level of being godlike.
Sure.
I'd rather somebody around me that carries themselves and does everything in their waking day and time to be godlike. That's somebody I'd rather trust. That's somebody I want to have around my kids.
That's real.
I don't see a problem with that. And I just had this conversation because I got my guy D-Lo at the barbershop. Shout out to Corn Coast Cuts. He's heavily Catholic.
Yeah.
And we have debates, not necessarily debates, but we have discussions. And he asked, well, what do you think about this? Because we'll kind of go back and forth, and I'll just share my ideology and things of that nature. And I said, look, at the end of the day, man. Again, just kind of like I explained, if you giving yourself to whether it's Christ, Jesus, God, but again, at the end of the day, if you are being godlike, what are we arguing about? At the end of the day, I don't. Yeah. And I'm not. I grew up in Nation of Islam, and it's just like, I think a lot of that stuff was lost in translation, and a lot of people trying to find out if Muhammad was the first prophet, messenger, Jesus. Whether it's just like, we strip all of that away. Let's get down to the principles of what all of them, all these characters, would like us to be. God, I don't think any one of them would have a single problem with us being that way.
I agree. Really quick, I want to hop to, because you said you mentioned that you were raised in the Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
And my father raised me in the Nation of Islam as well. And one thing I really think that I was talking about this with my son the other day. I said at the end of the day, the thing that I think was so positive about religion in general, and then when you talk about the Nation of Islam in particular, is at any point you can go to another brother and say Assalamu alaikum.
Yes. Walaikum salam. Yeah.
And right away, first thing, you know you have a brother.
Yes.
Second thing, you know, if you understand what you're saying, you're literally coming to someone and saying, peace be upon you.
Yes.
And then this brother tells you, peace be upon you, my brother.
Exactly.
How can you, now, when you talk about Jesus, when you go and talk about Buddha, you go talk about Lao Tzu, you talk about all these different people that were spiritual leaders, or people who saw them as prophets, people saw them as God. At the end of the day, these people they followed, I think at the premise, it's always peace.
Yeah.
So if you can come to another brother and say peace, I find that's the most beautiful thing about religion. I agree. And it can happen. Now, my wife, you were raised Catholic. Well, born and raised.
Born and raised, yes. Went to Catholic school my whole life.
Word. Are you still Catholic or religious? No. Okay, got you.
Religious, spiritual, yes, but I'm not a practicing Catholic.
Yeah,
I would say.
Got you.
Now, when you were in Catholic school, did you ever hear anyone calling themselves God or a god, or would that be like
we
blasphemous?
Were taught that that's like paganism almost, right? Like worshiping someone who's not God.
And even like worshiping, or I guess accepting yourself as someone that can make these decisions and manifest your destiny. Was that not in the... Because I think that there was some poor part of like my father, or excuse me, when I listened to Farrakhan read the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and like it would think like things are predestined.
That tea is phenomenal.
It's really sweet. There's a lot of honey.
Yeah,
I think I put some extra raw honey in there. There's raw honey in there for sure.
What's that little? Is that ginger?
Ginger.
Little spice? Yeah, that's phenomenal.
But it was like, I felt like, dang, where was that?
I'm so sorry.
No. It's not you. It's the tea. Probably the tea I was doing before. It's definitely not. But at the end of the day, I felt like when it comes to religions, or these different religions that are looking at something, even in the Nation of Islam, I was kind of taught to think that things were preordained, or that, it was almost like no matter what you do, God already had this plan.
Right.
And was it the difference of saying that God knew what was going to happen, or can I literally not change what's in God's plan?
Right.
And then I kind of was able to progress to God's plan is my plan. Like my plan is what I'm going to manifest and do is what God sent me to create.
Yeah, working through you.
Right. Yeah. And to do. Yeah. And so it gives me more responsibility, because I feel like I was thought, or how I perceived it a little bit was, oh, God already has a plan. It's it's already just going to happen. I think that's a lot of religions.
I think I agree with that. I feel like a lot of Catholics or even Christians just say it's in God's hands. You know, that's something you hear all the time. Yeah. But really, it's in your hands. Yeah. You're the creator of your destiny, of your life. So. Yes.
Yeah. So I get real. So when it comes to talk about being raised in the Nation of Islam, and shoot, I'm gonna hop into it. Okay. So I always thought to myself, right, being raised in the Nation of Islam, I was like, I have to marry a black woman. Right. That was something that I'm glad we're about to talk about this. I'm glad. Look, we sit here. I'm ecstatic. I already know your dynamic. Yeah. I know my wife's sitting right here. Yeah. And so there was that. Now, before I go into, one thing that my father told me, though, right? Because my father, Megan and I, my wife and I we were in high school and seniors in high school. Yeah. And after high school, started living together. And my father, he told me one time, he said, but you know what? you know what the nation says. And sometimes, I'll be honest, like sometimes my father would say, you know what the nation says? And I think he was just saying that. Yeah. Like, I don't even know if that's really what the nation said.
Right.
But he would just say that because it was kind of like validity. It's like, if the nation said it, then, then it's, it's word.
Right.
And so he's like, you know what the nation says though? Love is the almighty loophole. Right. And I'm not sure if somebody said, I don't know if Farrakhan said, I don't know if Raj Muhammad, I don't know if Master Farrar Muhammad ever said it. I'm not for sure. Peace be upon all them brothers. I don't know. But my father said, love is the almighty loophole. Right. And I feel like he was saying that, like, don't worry about that. It's like, have to marry a black girl. Yeah. Because he saw the relationship that I had. Mm-hmm. Now, being raised in that Nation of Islam, in that environment, did you feel the pressure of having to marry a black woman?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say it was a lot of pressure because initially, so we was super hardcore. Like my dad really programmed it well. Like,
your dad sold the papers.
Yeah.
I would buy the papers from your dad.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
I appreciate that from you.
Yeah. And like when we went to sleep at night, it was tape recorders all night of Minister Louis Farrakhan playing. So we were getting programmed, like, not in a bad way, but so yeah, it was hardcore. But through the course of time, what my parents went through, they grew apart from each other and also grew away from the Nation of Islam, and things started to become more relaxed, and they stopped practicing and subscribing to the ideologies and just the practices of Nation of Islam, which I feel like kind of like it was the downfall to the family a little bit. But as far as the interracial dating part of it, it was talked about heavily. I can remember when we were young, but it was kind of like that information wasn't, he gave us a key to a door that we couldn't reach yet. Like, and as we grew older, it was kind of like it kind of got unraveled a little bit. Sure. And then me now has that, I found that key. Yeah. And I wouldn't say it's too late, but, I've had this conversation with Sabrina, and at the time she wasn't able to listen to it apart from her emotions, and I'm like, it's not you. Sure. But if you was black, it's you. Like, it's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah. It's hard to really, if you're not, if your emotional intelligence is not quite there, it's just hard because they're listening from a place where, well, if you're saying if you would have did this again, like, you regret this. Sure. I'm like, no, it's not a place for regret. Yeah. And I'm like, and I told her in the most, like, as a man with stature, when I say I'm playing the cards I dealt, that's not necessarily saying I got dealt a bad hand. Sure. That's just saying I'm standing on every decision I've made. Yeah. I'm not telling you that I made a mistake. Sure. So, but yeah, so obviously I subscribe to Dr. Umar as well, and he talks about this a lot. And
Minister Snow Bunnies.
Yeah.
No.
That's what he always says.
And I have to admit, there's not really a lot of things I disagree with Dr. Umar on. But again, I do believe at the end of the day, the love is a loophole. Yeah. I can definitely subscribe to that because, yeah, I mean, it's one of those things you can't necessarily help, who you love. And sure. I do believe certain things like that are kind of sewed into the fabric, that are kind of baked into the fate. And sure. That's how I feel about Sabrina. Sure. Sure. I wouldn't have it any other way. Yeah. But like Umar says, like, you can't necessarily do much for the black culture, if you will, if you're with the opposition, if you so to say. And sure. That's one of the things I would say I disagree on. But I understand what I understand what he's saying. Sure. But you know what I'm saying? either one of us have done more and can do more than somebody that is dating same race.
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
So that's one thing I can't, necessarily agree with or subscribe to.
So, man, there's a lot I want to say. Now, first thing, the Reverend Dr. Combs.
Okay, locally.
Yes. Yeah. That brother was a professor of mine. Tremaine Combs is his son. Ashton Combs is his son.
Okay, got you.
Okay,
yeah.
So
I'm
their
more familiar
father,
with Ashton.
Yeah, so their father, he's a doctor and minister, and their father taught at, he taught at UNL.
Okay.
I took his class, Constitutional Law, as a freshman. Mind you, it was a senior level class, but I think he just saw the name and let me in. Because when I got in there, he was saying how it's the first black student he had maybe in 3 or 4 years. And he said that in front of everybody. Like, he celebrated it. He gave me special treatment, right? Yeah. He did all the, like, it was straight affirmative action up in there. I mean, he was the whole way. He let it be known locally on the microphone, like, all day. And so, but he was phenomenal professor. And he said, he taught me when we were learning constitutional law, you would read these opinions by these, for the most part, just horrible men. Yeah. These Supreme Court justices back in the day, right? And I call them horrible men just because I call it how I see it. I'm just keeping it true. Because there was real great dope men back then too. Right? I'm just keeping it real. Like, there were awesome men back then who weren't like owning people, who weren't raping people, who weren't oppressing people. They weren't. They were just living life and they didn't believe in that. Right. So, but that being, so it wasn't like it's the standard, because it's not. There's people who weren't doing it. Mm-hmm. Anyways, that's for another thing. But so he was like, look, even if you don't totally agree with where this person's coming from, I want you to appreciate and see the genius of how they got there. Okay. So that's now how I have internalized and see the Nation of Islam when it's certain things like interracial dating. I understand how they got there, right? Because the status and the status quo, the place that the black man, the black woman, the black culture was at, because of these hundreds of years of human trafficking and murder and robbery and all of these things. Because of that, because of those conditions, it was so pivotal and so vital to uplift black people, to stay within their race, to share their economic dollar, to share their genius, and to dig themselves out of this trench that had been burdened on them. Right? And so I understand what they're saying. They're like, oh, well, at this point right now, we can't afford to have our brightest and best man go live in the Hamptons with a white woman. Right. Like, we need that guy in Birmingham, Alabama, doing Birmingham, Alabama with us. Right. So I get it, and I understand that. And I do still understand that to a certain point now. Right. It's not something that I'm saying I don't get, or I don't, or I'm hating on. Right. That being said, just like you said, there's other ways. Yeah. There's continuous work that can be done and that should be done, that we're doing, that I see you doing, and I'll talk about the brilliance of your health movement in a moment, but that I see you doing for our community. And when I say our community, like, I'm just pretty unapologetic, right? I work with black youth, for black youth at the Black Community Center. It's what I do. Right. Like, I work for black youth. Right. Like,
and we appreciate you, bro.
It's just what it is. Yeah, so, but that's unapologetically, right? So I think that you can still put it in for your people. Right. Understanding also that you're a human. Right. That everybody's people is everybody's people. Right. Right. At the end of the day. So, and I talk about my cousin with that too. About, people say there are regrets or not. Now I want to go back to that family structure. Yeah. The family structure that the Nation of Islam promotes, upholds. I don't think that there is another, and you can say something bad about any organization. Yeah. But I don't think there's another organization that you can name to or point to that has done more positively for black people in America than the Nation of Islam?
100%. 100%. You think of a brother of a nation, or you think of somebody from the Nation of Islam. So I'm not religious. I don't say I'm Muslim today. By technicality, I am a Christian. I am a Muslim. Is somebody that walks in the faith of God. But when you just think of anybody in the Nation of Islam, you think the first images that come to mind are just you move with just such militancy, discipline, just proper, just on point. And scholars, one thing I always like when I'm watching ministers, like eloquently can articulate their words and speak well. And like when you was watching Minister Louis Farrakhan go on these white talk shows with Donahue. And bro, like the composure, like who raised you? And when you realize the Nation of Islam is responsible for breeding, these are not mistakes.
No.
These are leaders that are bred in the Nation of Islam, generation after generation, that are this way. You don't see inconsistencies.
No.
At all.
No. I say time and time again, there's nobody that can beat Farrakhan in debate. Nah. Nobody's.
I'd put him up against anybody.
Nobody touches.
He's a treasure.
He's
a treasure, man.
Now that he's got older,
words for sure.
He does. Yeah. And now that he's got older, he's so much more calculated.
Yeah, you can see it when he talks.
He's just, every word means so much.
Yeah.
And you know what else I really appreciate about the ministers? He's apologized when he's felt like he needed to. He said, I used to be brash, and he never said I lied, because I didn't lie, but he says the message could have been different and it should have been better.
Okay.
He never lied.
Yeah.
I put my life savings on the brothers never lied.
Yeah. No.
But the message is always could be more palatable. Right.
Got you.
But at the same time, I always believe, look, your people is ready to hear something.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it needs to be said in the right way sometimes.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's not quietly and nicely.
People forget that speech is a form of art. And if you can't speak in a way where you evoke emotion out of somebody, it falls on deaf ears. It's not going to drive people to...
Facts.
Yeah, it's not going to drive people to move. It's just you have to drive people to either... Yeah. I mean, emotion is going to move you. It's energy, emotion.
Yes.
It's an art form to it. And when, like you said, when I see the minister speak, I just am in awe, because it's just like people don't speak this way now. No. Like nowadays, are just period. Like it's an art form. Like it's truly an art. That's, the gift of gab is a real thing.
There it is.
It's a real thing.
We were I think we were driving back from South Padre, Texas. Through my program, it's lovely. I get the opportunity to take young youth on historically black college university tours. And so we were coming back and we kind of had some fun too. So we were in South Padre on the island, chilling in the on the beach.
Right. Yes, sir.
And we're driving back, and it's nighttime. So I just throw on the minister and just let the minister talk.
Yeah.
And it's funny because the kids, they got their earbuds, they can do what they want to do, whatever. And then you kind of just see one by one, right? Kids taking off the earbuds, just listening. Kids sleep and he wake up kind of, and then all of a sudden all the kids are just listening, just intently listening.
That's amazing,
to the minister.
That's amazing,
because it draws you in. And now, like I said, the minister, as he's older, he's just so much more calculated. He speaks with such more, he just sounds like a grandfather. Care, right? And they're listening to him, and then at some point I did something, I turned it off to do something or whatever, and the kids like, hey Ishmael, hold on, man, I'm listening to that, man. You go, what's up, hold up, man. They want to listen. And we had a brother who was a practicing Muslim on the bus, on the van with us, so we'd have to stop when we were driving, because he's practicing
so praying on time.
Yes, so we have to stop for that brother to pray on time, to hit his joints, to do his things or whatever. It was cool. One of the times we stopped, and there was another truck driver who was also about to set up prayer. And they were so excited because they got to pray together, right? And so again, it brought that thought in my head again, that brotherhood, that camaraderie of.
Right.
And then there was another brother from Sudan who was with us, and he, it was cool because, you know, he grew up Muslim, but he really wasn't practicing. And so by the 4th time that we had to stop for the brother, right, he had already bought him a prayer rug and then was praying with the brother again as well. You know, they go and wash up and then come out and pray.
That's really solid.
So it was cool to see, you know, even this brother was like, hey, shoot, I want to bring my stuff back out.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
and it was, it was a cool thing. It was a really cool thing. Now they were, you know, I'm pretty sure when this brother was praying, it was a different sect of Islam. You know, when Farrakhan's talking, but just but they can both say assalamu alaikum to each other.
Right.
You know.
Right.
So so I thought that was a beautiful thing.
Nah, that is, man. That is to get you know, somebody of younger age, and sometimes you just gotta do that. You just gotta put it on. You ain't gotta. Hey, we watching this today. You just gotta put it on.
Put it on the back.
Yeah, just put it on the back.
Somebody used to play it on public television in Lincoln.
What, minister?
The minister used to be on public television in Lincoln, bro. No. Because that's how we used to watch them. No joke. No joke. Somebody had it. Because, you know, you have a station, that public television, you know, just like public radio, you know, you go get your station. So a brother had a station. But that brother used to be on, man. That brother used to be on. Action Pops, man. He'll remember, man. That brother used to be on public, on NET, on public TV, man. Yeah, no joke.
I'd have dropped dead flipping through the damn channels now and hear minister.
No, it ain't on no more. It ain't on no more. No, not no more, man. You know, they don't let that ride anymore. That was the 90s. That was the 90s when the minister was on TV here.
Yeah.
That's something. That tells you something, that back in the day you could have the minister on TV. Today they wouldn't let that happen.
Yeah, nah.
Wow.
Nah.
That's different.
Yeah. He was different. On I think the minister, are you familiar with I know I'm not blinking on his name. Reza.
Oh yeah, Reza.
They had him. Man. Yeah, Reza. They had him on the 12.
What's it called? The misinformation dozen
misinformation.
The misinformation dozen. The brother, the chiropractor I know is on that too. He's from Omaha.
Oh, for real?
Ben Tapper. Yeah, Ben Tapper
from Omaha.
Really? Man. I've met him.
Close his practice down, and
they made him close his practice down.
Well, he redid it. Yeah, he did it.
Just recently reopened in Bennington area, I believe.
Did he have to open under Did he have to go?
No, because he voluntarily closed down when things were getting kind of crazy.
All right.
Yeah. No, but he was like, they were at his neck, you know, because he was just on that realness.
Like threats.
You know?
He has young children, and
it gets different when you have the kids. It gets different, you know. But he was out like in the woods. Feel like the brother was off the grid or something. But he a cool dude, man. Got a big beard or whatever. I met him personally. We chopped it up about documentary stuff because he was doing a documentary. I was doing a documentary.
Okay.
And we didn't release ours. He released his, but man, you know, it gets hectic out there.
Gotcha. Is there a reason why you haven't released yours? You waiting for it?
It just wasn't right. It just wasn't right.
Yeah.
Something wasn't right about it.
Gotcha.
Something just wasn't right. And if you're gonna do something like that, what I mean is release a documentary that's very controversial.
Yeah.
Then you have to do it it just has to, I think, also feel right. You have to know that it's going to get the message across the right way.
Right.
Because I'm not here to cause controversy. Right? We're here to help people. We want to inspire people, educate people, help people. It's just not for, you know, to make people mad. That's not the point.
It felt like negative energy. It felt like making people mad and
Gotcha.
Exposing mothers in a negative light for some reason, even though we tried to spin it in a positive light. It's tough. It's tough.
But hey, you never know when it could be the right time.
Exactly.
And we could shift it the right way. Because energy shift and waves.
It does.
Waves go.
For sure.
So we'll see.
But
I want to talk about, look, so we have 3 beautiful children, and our children now are 15, 14, 12. And you have children. Yeah. And I'm not mistaken, what, you have 3?
4.
4.
Yeah,
you beat me.
4.
You beat me.
Got 4.
Oh, brother.
Got 4.
You are winning out here.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
what are the ages?
8, 6, 4, and 1 in a few months.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
You are blessed.
Fun ages.
Oh, you are blessed.
Yeah.
You are the hero.
Yeah.
Right now, still the ultimate hero.
Appreciate it, bro.
Okay, so Pete, so parenting lifestyle.
Yeah.
Parenting style. You were raised one way. My wife was raised Catholic. Y'all kind of heard a little bit when I was, my father was Nation Islam guy.
Right.
My mother, when I was with my mother, my grandparents, it was laissez-faire. My grandfather was in love with the Black Panthers, a white dude in love with the Black Panthers.
Word.
So, I mean, you know what I was about.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
So, how are you doing it with your children?
Yeah. So I'm glad we circling back on this. So I'm gonna start with kind of the few conversations ago about same race dating and stuff like that.
Yes.
So I still do teach them that I would like for them to be with a melanated person,
okay,
being Black. Reason being is I seen how quick the melanin can get washed out. And
really quick, the color grading of your kids, is it different? Are they all the same? Like, how does that go?
Generally, my son, he can eat the sun. He can get pretty. He can get darker. Okay. The rest of them are pretty light.
Okay.
But I see, like, when I had conversations with some of my close friends, like when we get to talking about like the Patrick Mahomes, and then it's gone. Like,
sure.
And
sure.
I just personally don't want that to happen. I think just being a melanated being is like nothing else. I mean, you the original man.
Sure.
And so with that with that being said, that's what I teach. Obviously, I did different.
Yeah. And
I'm well aware that anything that you teach them or program them to, it can get at any point in time they can go left. Like, which is what I did with my dad.
They're just their own people.
They're their own people. And I'm well aware of that. So I'm not like I said, at least I'm giving them the key.
Yeah.
Will all of them open the door with it? I don't know.
Sure.
But I it just goes to say, I say that and teach them that because I teach them of knowledge of themselves.
Sure.
And it just makes more sense for them to be with somebody that, if I'm teaching them you're a melanated being, and the melanated man is the closest thing to the Asiatic original Black man, essentially. Melanin will do, it's like 1 + 1 = 2, essentially. But again, like, there's no like hate with it if they end up with somebody else of a different race. So
one of Farrakhan's sons married a white woman.
Word.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
I didn't know that.
So many people don't know that. Bro.
I didn't know that.
So many people don't know that. Farrakhan got a really white looking grandbaby.
Really?
Because Farrakhan ain't.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. See how quick it can. That shit can go quick, bro. The melanin can be going quick.
But what's wild is okay. Like, my son can most days pass for white.
Okay.
My daughters definitely not. My youngest daughter is the darkest by far. Right, there goes my boy out there. Okay, so so many days, unless you talk to him or get up on him or watch him for a little bit, he's white. Like, you watch him for a little bit, be like, oh yeah,
okay,
like he just walk different,
there you go.
But or like, even if you just talk to him, but the other. And I know that's weird, like, what, you can talk to somebody, tell them they're not white, but I think you know what I mean. It's not like, so I'm not out here bugging.
Yeah, no, it's there, bro. 100%.
But so when it comes to like our kids, we were real serious about having our kids being confident. We took them to the protests. We had them. We taught them about protesting. We taught them about the First Amendment rights. We teach Second Amendment rights. We're really serious about wanting our kids to be advocates for themselves, and to know their rights, to know how to stand up to, even though if everybody else is doing something. If everybody in the class is standing for the Pledge of Allegiance and we only submit our will to God, we don't have to submit our will to that Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have to pledge our allegiance to an inanimate object.
Right.
Like, and I think it starts with that. Do you guys, what are some of the things that you guys do as parents, or that you try to instill in your kids?
So I still teach and adopt a lot of the same things that I, was raised on, the Nation of Islam. So the American flag, not, standing up in class, like that was always so like, just different as a child.
Yeah.
Being in the class in elementary school and whatnot. And it's like, you're the only ones that's sitting down. It's like, you feel that, bro. Like, but that,
like the national anthem before Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Like this is before Kaepernick.
Yeah, this is before, exactly.
Kaepernick, no national anthem, no Pledge of Allegiance.
We've been doing this.
Okay.
We ain't new to this.
Yeah.
But that same level of going against the grain, it just builds a different like level of character. Like
sure.
I can't really describe it, but obviously everybody, we're all cogs in the wheel. But when you run into one that has just something a little bit more just special about them. Mm-hmm. And I think it comes from, I wouldn't necessarily say like bucking the system, but just like, like sticking up for yourself, just not going with the grain. Sure. And it's not just like, oh, I just want to be different. Like it's like it's like doing what's right, like, and actually standing up for what's right and like what you believe. Yes. And 9 times out of 10, I mean, you could be wrong, but it's just it takes a lot. Like it really does take a lot to like, if your whole class is standing up to the Pledge of Allegiance and you sitting down and your teacher's asking you why you sitting down and your classmates is asking why you sitting down. Yeah. Most people will end up standing up.
Sure. No, 100% they will. 100%. But can you make sure we're recording? Thank you. No, most people will. How did you have pushback in that, like as a kid?
Yeah, bro. I feel like I remember, teachers saying something. And
so you're sitting down in class, everybody else is standing up.
Yeah.
They're looking at you like you're disrespecting the country and them and this whole thing. How do you deal with that? Or what's going through your head? Or what do you want to tell them?
There's a grain of conformity that kind of sails past. But again, like when you raise and it's like, again, programmed into you. Yeah. Sometimes, like as kids, like sometimes you really don't grasp the full thing. But then when we hear now, it's just like, man, I'm glad we didn't like conform. Like we were doing what our parents asked of us.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And we understood a little bit, or in full. But still, like, again, when everybody else is doing the same thing, and I feel like that's how the system was designed.
There you go. They go, now, as adults, we can choose something differently a little easier. Mm-hmm. So, like, my grandfather, he always taught me being different. He's called me Iy, Ishma, Yusuf. My name is Yusuf. So he's called me Iy. Iy, being different is what you want to strive for. Yes. You don't want to be like everybody else. You want to dress different, do it. Mm-hmm. Everything I did was different, right? And that was a big thing to me, being different. And some people would say like, oh, you just being difficult, right? You just being doing this to do this, whatever. But I do think that there are things that I love doing as a community, the same. For example, one of my favorite things I used to love to do is to break fast in a mosque. So during Ramadan, then at the end, if you're not familiar with Ramadan, you fast from sun up to sundown, and when you can't see a thread on the horizon, then you can eat.
Yeah, you could.
Now, you go and you break fast with brothers, and that's such a beautiful, harmonious experience. How cool is it to be up in the stands, watching an event or whatever, and everybody's going for the same team, going crazy, whatever. That's all great. Or if you've rocked a stage, right? How magical is it when everybody is saying your name, or you ask people to put up a peace sign, everybody puts up peace.
Everybody's in tune. Just in tune.
So I get it. I get the everybody doing something together, and, but it has, to me, I only get it if it's truly serving a pure purpose. Right?
Yeah.
And if you say, I pledge allegiance to the flag, okay, of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's just a fallacy.
It is. And it's sad that I know it word for word, even though I've never spoken it out loud.
That
just goes to show.
It's in there. It's still in there.
It's still in there. And I haven't been in the classroom. I don't even go to gaming events where, you know, it's how or why do I know this? Like, word for word is.
Now, you weren't raised with that.
Yeah.
In your school, you said it too?
We prayed and we did the pledge.
Oh,
word, damn.
We'd have morning prayer.
Yeah.
And then you end it with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, so you hit that pledge. I mean, you hit that prayer first.
Prayer first.
And then pledge.
And then pledge.
Dang, give it to Jesus, then to America.
Yeah.
That's kind of how they teach it. That's how they teach it, though. God and country.
Yeah, yeah.
Still,
go hand in hand on the dollar bill and everything of that nature.
I just think that, and Ishma said something in the car the other day about, I almost started crying.
Ishma the second.
Ishma too.
Gotcha.
He said, you and Dad have done such a good job of raising us and explaining things to us. He's like, some of my friends don't know even, you know, like 75-80% of the stuff that we know and understand.
That's amazing. Good job.
How come you never told me that?
Yeah.
So he told my look, see, he don't want to tell Daddy that though.
Oh no, we were talking about something, and
right.
You know, but yeah, you know, it's just giving your kids that foundation and knowledge,
right?
Regardless of what they do with it once they get older, it's just
yeah. You at least equip them with the tools.
Yeah.
Whether they use them or not.
Whether they use them or not,
they have them.
At least they have them. They have
the
confidence to stand up for themselves. And the know-how of why they're doing it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Know-how why you're doing it. Why.
The why is huge.
Yeah.
Can't just, I feel like anyway, because in my whole life it's always just because your parents said so.
Right. Yep. It's funny that you actually mentioned that.
Why not give them a why? You know, like they're human. They're trying to learn this thing called life and how they should navigate it. You have to tell them everything.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. We gave them a why a lot of times.
Oh, yeah.
All the time.
If they ask a why, we'll try to give them the best why we can.
Yeah.
And to piggyback on that, I'm glad y'all mentioned that, because that was a psychologically damaging thing I stopped my kids from doing. So I have my daughter. Mm-hmm. She's such a wild child. And me being indoctrinated how I was, Daddy said, go ahead and do what I just asked you to do. Stop asking why all the time. And I came to a realization. I'm like, if I'm preaching and moving how I'm moving, I'm training them to be just as docile. And because then when it comes to school and the teacher asks you to do something, or authoritative power asks you to do something, you're going to go ahead and do it. Exactly. You're not even going to question it. And when I got that thought, I was like, I literally went home that night. And if I could bring my daughter here, I said, Leia, it's a beautiful thing that you asked Dada why. I want you to never stop asking Dada why. I literally it was just like a light bulb. Yeah. I'm like, no, I can't. Yeah.
And I'm not saying I'm perfect. You know, there's times where I'll be, my temper's short.
Oh, 100%. Just do it. Yeah, every day. Everybody thinks
but
it's
we're
just,
human. You got to go back and be like, I'm sorry I responded to you like that. I'm really sorry. This is why. Sorry I was upset. Sorry I was frustrated. Yeah. I'm human. Yeah. Thanks for listening to me.
Yeah. A lot of people fail to realize, like, people like us that are, you know, so, like, spiritually driven or zenned out, if you will. Yeah. We're this way because we had to extra undo and continuously do every waking day of our lives to undo the programming.
Yeah.
And I realized that I must have read a quote, or I think Javon Woods had sent me something. I was like, damn, like, I'm this way because I'm holding myself back more than you would ever know for me really talking to you how I want to talk to you. But I know the higher version of myself should operate in this manner. It's Bruce Banner and the Hulk. That's truly what it is. Yes. It's Bruce Banner and the Hulk. Yeah. It's what it really is. So
it gets serious.
Wisdom.
Yeah.
Right. To be able to apologize to your kids is key. Like, if you can say, look, I fucked up. I'm sorry. Like, my bad. Yeah. I was wrong. I'm going to try to do right. You know, I'm going to try to treat you, you know, still you're right, but I was wrong right here. My bad. here we go. Let's go, back at it.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, I think people are afraid to do that because they feel like they're going to lose authority of their kids or something.
Right.
Like, they're not going to respect me anymore. Right. They're not going to listen to me anymore because I apologize to them. Like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
No, that's so stupid.
Right? Your kids will respect you even more that they think that you will correct something and you respect them, right?
100%. I mean, I heard something the other day and I was like, that makes so much sense. But, like, love is unconditional, but it's not. You know what I mean? Like, from your children, like, they love you unconditionally, but there still are conditions. Like, if you didn't do or provide for them, they probably won't have love for you. Mm-hmm. You'll just be their parent. You'll just be their authoritative figure.
Yep, authoritative figure.
Sure.
So, it can make a difference.
Yeah.
Oh, they respect the heck out of you when you can admit that you were wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
So my friend Lawrence Gardner, he was on Middle of the Street podcast the other day.
Okay, I don't think I met him, but I think I recognize his Facebook.
Yes. Yeah, now that brother right there is an insightful dude, and we don't agree on everything. We have great debates, and I think sometimes debate gets like a negative connotation to it.
Yeah.
Right, but like debating is cool, and if you can do it,
respectful manner.
Yeah, it's a good
way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so he goes. So a long time ago, he asked me. Oh no! So we used to work together at Hope Spoke, which used to be called Child Guidance Center.
Was that the purple building?
Yes. Yeah. So it's the purple building now. It didn't used to always be purple.
Right.
They turned that thing purple. I don't know what they're thinking. That wasn't my decision. Anyways, so, but he was a therapist there, and so we talk about a lot of things. And he would say, Ishma, I am telling people, or I'm asking people this when in therapy. I ask the parent to ask the child, to go home and ask the child, if you could change one thing about me, one thing about what I do, one thing about, whatever it is, what would it be, right? If you could change one thing about what I do, what would it be? And so that's kind of brave to ask your child. Yeah. Because your child can, I'm trying to see which one's the right level for me.
The child is
the child.
Depending on the age.
Right. Okay. So
most children are unfiltered.
Yes. Right. And so I asked my son this when he was 4 or 5, maybe 4 or 5. I think he's 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Not for sure. And I said, hey, if there's one thing that you could change, what would it be? And he thought. And we were in the car. He thought. He looked up. He said that you didn't do any more whoopings. Right. And that like crushed me. Because it wasn't like I gave him a lot of whoopings. It wasn't like he got beat or whatever that. Right. But, like growing up, like, if I did something silly, like my dad would be like, or like, say something. Sometimes he'd thump me upside the head, that good old, that bam. Yep. Right? Yep. It's like a Mayweather jab.
Yeah.
When it hit you. And so I was, and so I know that, I used to, spank him on the butt, and that's not something that I was thinking was really bad or was detrimenting him in a negative way.
Right.
But he said, I wish there'd be no more whoopings. And that hit me different when he said it. And like after I asked him and he said it. And then from that point on, there was no more whoopings for him, right? And shit. I mean, has a boy ever done something wrong? I'm just saying.
I mean, he's a kid. But no, he's a really good kid.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the boy ain't never did nothing wrong. Like, he ain't never got in trouble.
Intentionally. He never gets in trouble at school.
Yeah. That boy's a
straight A student.
Straight A's. Like, the boy's in all the diff classes. The boy's in everything. Yeah. Great kid. Great everything, right? Yeah. Like, you ain't got to hit your kids to make them listen. Mm-mm. We give them attention when they do great. When they do positive things, we give them attention. Right. Mm-hmm. We let them know that they're important, Yeah.
Of course.
I was just talking to Goodwin. This would have been like Saturday, was it? And we was just talking about like whoopings and stuff, and I'm like, we just, it was just like, that's such a slave thing that we adopted, and we don't realize how much, like,
wow
it's literally, because when you think about how many generations were not off from that, we realize, like, I got whooped as a kid, like, you know, not just the pop, you know, not to put my, you know, parents or whatever, you know, under the bus, but like, and when I think about when we got whooped, you know, he'll line us all up one after one, and, you know, we're watching our brothers and sisters right before us, and I think about, you know, when I'm next in line, and
it's a fear.
That's just slavery.
That's a fear.
When you on the plantation, they're getting lined up. It's exactly that. That's where we learn this shit from. Like, yeah.
And even with the Nation of Islam influence to try to break that from us, it was still, I mean, because, hey, look, which we call mama, right? My grandmother on my dad's side, everybody calls her mama.
Gotcha.
Except for me, I call her grandma because I don't know. I guess anyway. But everybody else call her mama, right? Yeah. But I was like, it's grandma. But anyways, but y'all would get in trouble, and mama would line you up, and she would give everybody their spanking. Now, she used to do me real easy. Like, I just put my hand out. She'd give me a little, you know what I'm saying? Because I was always her favorite. She just favored me.
Not because you called her grandma.
Yeah. Right. But everybody else, she used to, you know what I'm saying, give a little bit something more too.
Right.
But same thing, you know, and she's just like if you know grandma, she's the most amazing, loving. Next time you talk to John Goodwin, ask him about my grandma.
All right, man.
Okay,
say less.
And you'll have a beautiful story.
Say less.
Okay,
say less.
He loves her. Okay, so but I never thought about that until you just brought that up. That is a reminiscent holdover from the traumatic, the generational trauma that is from chattel slavery.
So I'm thinking, like, we only a few generations removed. Wow. Because it was a few months ago, and I was really thinking about something, and I was like, because my dad from down south, South Carolina, Charleston, South Carolina, and when we go out and visit our grandparents, you know, and I was just thinking about the traumatic instances and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like a few years ago, I left my dad's barbershop. Just things didn't work out. We didn't speak to each other for like 3 years and stuff like that. And I just came to terms with, like, you know, it was just a lot of, you know, trauma built up as a child, and like I just had to make sense of it all.
Sure.
I ended up going back after 3 years. We didn't say a single word to each other, and, you know, I made things right.
Great.
And the reason why I did, because I came to the realization, again, not to throw my dad on the bus, but I come to realize that maybe I'm just more emotionally intelligent, and just like I have more of an understanding than my father may have ever, as it should be. The evolution of and my children will, I can only pray and hope that my children will have the same evolutionized mindset.
Yes.
So I realized that I could forgive him for a lot of the things, because he was only operating with a hammer and a nail in his toolbox. He didn't have a screwdriver. He didn't have, you know, as the quote goes, you know, you act as a hammer, you see everything as a nail.
Everything, yes.
And I realized, and I was like, damn, you know, some things is like, you know, you were aware of, you know, certain things, and then other things is just like, he was just only operating to the degree that he only knew, like, and he didn't know of anything outside of that degree of operation. But where I'm going is, I got to realize, if he's operating at that degree, how was he raised? How was his dad? Where did he get that shit from? The apple don't fall far from the tree.
Yeah.
And then, so where I was going was, I called my grandma. I was like, Grandma, how far are you away from, like, slavery? Like, was your mom, like, off the porch with it? Or, like, because, and then she sent me, like, the family tree and stuff like that.
Okay.
And so I asked about her mom.
Okay.
And you know, it wasn't, you know, necessarily slavery off the porch like that.
Okay.
But I pretty much, you know, damn near got it to us. Just like, well, okay, like her mom's mom, and if not that, the one before that.
Sure.
And I'm like, we're not like, no, we're literally not far from like what they say. Emmett Till would have been like what 80 today or something.
Yeah. So my father and his father in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yeah.
So his grandfather was sharecropping, right? So my father's grandfather was sharecropping. Now my father's grandfather, right? My father's grandfather, his dad was a slave. So my father's grandfather, right? My father's grandfathers had a grandfather whose father was a slave, bro.
So
like that's
great.
Yeah. So that's how close. So like, okay, so my father has a grandfather, and Charles, because they named him after him. Because he says one of his earliest memories is, why you named this little joker after me? Yeah. And so that's his grandfather. Yeah. So Charles's grandfather, right? His father saw slavery. So Charles's great grandfather, Charles, my dad's grandfather, his great grandfather saw slavery. His great grandfather was a part of it. Now imagine people that live a longer time, have kids when they're 60 or stuff like that. It gets even closer. It gets even closer. Because generations happen quick. Right, I'm about to be a granddaddy in a few years. You know what I'm saying? Like it happens fast. It happens fast.
Yeah, incredible.
Right, like
less than a decade away.
See what I'm saying? Yeah, like it happens fast. Like I just lost my last great grandfather a few years ago. See what I'm saying?
All right.
It happens fast, bro. It happens fast. So yeah, so it isn't that far removed. Everybody's like, oh, it's so far removed. It's so. It ain't that far removed because on the other end of the spectrum. And I say they, what I mean is like white Americans still have their homesteads. On the other end of the spectrum, they still have their homesteads from the 1800s.
Right.
On the other end of the spectrum, they still have their lineage that was made with land ownership and property ownership and insurance and life insurance.
Right.
So these things are still in play and have big effects.
Right.
So yeah, there's effects on that other side as well that aren't so pretty.
Yeah,
that really aren't so pretty. So I want to share a story.
Yeah.
When I watched you perform down, okay, so we haven't talked much about this at all, right? But we're both artists, and so I have an appreciation for you personally because you're an artist who did it differently and even more differently than me. Okay, like you did what I wanted to do more, or doing what I wanted to do more, as in content of rapping. Gotcha. I did it sometimes, but not as much as I wanted to, where I feel like you're never off message. Right. And when you were young, I saw you at the Bourbon front room.
Okay.
And your dad was DJing.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I'm trying to think what show this was.
It was just a long time ago. I was there too.
Were you there, baby?
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Okay. Yeah. And I saw, and I was a father at the time, right? So it's kind of different.
Yeah.
So I was a father at the time, and I watched your father and the way he looked at you on stage while he was DJing. And it was automatic life goals. It was automatically like, oh, if I could just be involved with my son's life, how he is doing this right now for his son, then everything would be perfect. Like that's what I want of my life. That's what I want out of my life is that. I don't know if it's my son on the stage, whatever. He's a hell of a producer. But any way that I can do that, like can be intertwined in like the way that you were like loving the stage and loving the vibe, and then the way that he looked at you was pure like that's the world. Like that's what it's about.
Nobody's ever told me that. Like I didn't even. There's no picture of him. I have pictures from that show, but not of him looking at me. But damn,
bro, that's just in my mind. Like, and baby, I'll tell you about my memory, because I remember the weirdest shit. Right? Yeah. But that's a life moment to me. That's like a core memory to me, where it's like that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want that. Yeah. Right. And you know, I didn't know any of the other dynamic other than like I always just looked up to your dad like, oh, that's where I go get the paper.
Right,
like, I need the knowledge. I go get the paper from your pops. Right. And like, because my dad, he always like, hey brother, make sure you go get a paper, and make sure you know what I'm saying, go get a paper, take $5 and get a couple of them, you know, or whatever, right? And then sometimes I come up there, he'd be like, oh, I ain't got no papers today, young brother. You know, you always walk in the shop, be like, assalamu alaikum. He said, wa alaikum salam. I ain't got no papers today, young brother. It's like, okay. So, you know what I'm saying? Just like that, right? But that's what I remember. That's like a core thing to me when you're performing that. And I was like, man, you know what I'm saying? So I'm so happy to hear that y'all, and I think I saw on Facebook like a picture of all y'all. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And so I was happy to see that. I was like, oh, that's beautiful. Yeah. That is a beautiful thing.
Man. It is. It is. And I hope that we can, there's still time left as all the entrepreneurship things that I'm setting up is to allow me to get back to, or I'm essentially buying my time back in order to be a full-time free artist. So I kind of back engineered the game.
Yeah. Let's talk about art.
That's awesome. That's what you gotta do.
Let's talk about
Talk about art, man. Talk about the artist that you are, what you do, why you do it, where it's going, what's new.
This is my cup of tea here. Man. Ooh. I really do believe that, you know, I have, it's just in the most unegotistical way, like I really do have something that's just a little bit more special about me, whether it's the way my mind is designed, the way I think. I'm blessed for the little coding, the amount of coding that my dad did and what I was able to do with it. So with the artistry, so how I even became a barber, I was a basketball player first. That was going to be my thing.
Okay, let's keep it true too, right?
Yeah.
I was your basketball coach at the very beginning of my career. Yeah. And I sucked at that time. I got so much better. Yeah. No, with MBS, 'cause I didn't coach at Leffler. You came, remember, to the Salvation Army. You was what you calling it, and I had MBS, Nebraska Buffalo Soldiers. But before that, we were just called Triple Threat at that time. We were just called Triple Threat, and I was a horrible coach at that time. It was my first time coaching, and I sucked, and I failed you as a coach because I just sucked, point blank. So let's keep that. Let's just put that out there. Like I sucked as a coach that first season, and I'm so glad that y'all left my coaching because I sucked at that time and I had to get better. But I got better. But man, I sucked at that time. I believe, I don't know if you remember this, like I injured you your first tryout or practice with me, brother. I had y'all backpedaling. What the fuck? Backpedaling for a basketball drill. For what reason?
I don't recall.
Just to stumble over somebody, you like hurt your ankle or something, man. And I remember your dad was up at the stairs like, what are you doing, brother? Like, why you got these brothers out here? This ain't football. They ain't DBs. What you got them backpedaling for?
My dad was up there.
He was like, what do y'all think? Like, what are you thinking? Anyway, okay, so sorry to mess that up, but I'm going to put that out there. I did coach this brother, but I was horrible when I coached you. Yeah. I apologize for that.
Nah, man.
Okay, but go on. My bad. I was young.
So yeah, basketball was gonna be the thing, and I have a cool, like, intricate story how this all kind of ties back to fatherhood and everything. Everything's connected somehow, some way. Basketball was the thing that and it was something that my parents pushed and supported throughout, you know, up until I was about 20. But music, in hindsight, always looking back from the talent shows and everything like that with Eddie, and that was the thing that really had my heart. And I remember being younger, one of the earliest signs that I remember, and my parents always kind of being like, how do you do that? I had this real, like, gift whenever I'm riding around with my parents and the radio's on, KFR, whatever is playing, and they're getting ready to bring in the next song. Within the first note, I can tell you what the song was about to, like. Sure. I'd be like, ooh, and my dad would be like, how do you, you know, and my dad was a DJ, so. Yeah. Anyways, basketball was the thing. I went to North Carolina to a preparatory school out there. Towards the end of my senior year, I reclassed to get better looks with basketball. I had an awful experience. I was homesick, tried to do this long distance relationship. Came from a big family. Like, I absolutely hated my experience. I didn't want no part of that. It wasn't my idea. It was my sister's idea. My dad, when they first found out about prep schools and stuff like that, which are great things, but I didn't want to do it, but, you know, I went along with it.
Sure.
You know, my dad invested money for me to go out to that school, and I got a lot better. Like I had a full ride D1 scholarship to a smaller school in South Carolina. But when Eddie died, that was one of the first light bulbs that I can vividly remember that went off in my head instantly. When Eddie died, I was miserable out there, and it put everything in perspective for me. And I promise you, that same night, because I was still doing music, and I still have these same videos out on YouTube when I was in that, you know, in Thomasville, North Carolina, just putting these videos out, just hoping I blow off of music to get me out of this situation. When Eddie died, it just clicked for me. I'm like, life is way too short, and for me to be as miserable as I am out here, if I died and looked at myself and looked at the timeline and seen that I was spending my life in a way that I didn't even want to spend it almost at all, you know, like it was just the most introspective like thing for me to be 19 and to think that way. That same night, I started working on my first mixtape. My first song that I ever, I think, released on streaming platforms was called Eddie Key. And it was on my first project, Hakim. And I came back, obviously, with this scholarship offer in my back pocket. I had my mind made up. And when I got back home, I was going to tell my parents that I'm done playing basketball. I'll never forget. I was downstairs. I built up enough courage. And I was like, all right, I'm doing it. So I walked upstairs. It was probably 10, 11 o'clock at night. Knocked on my parents' door. Yeah, come in. And they just seen I had this look on my face. And my dad was just like, what's going on? And I'm like, I want to quit basketball. And, you know, they was just blown away. Like, what? Like, everything's going well. Like, what changed? What happened? And I'm like, I don't want to do it no more. And they're like, well, what do you want to do? I was like, I want to rap. I want to be a rapper. And of course, understandingly, being a parent, you know, you just want security for your child's future. And man, they did everything in their power to try to convince me to still play. They were like, look, when you travel, put your mixtapes in your backpack, and when you play other teams at the schools, hand your CD out in the stands and shit like that. Which okay, but it wasn't what I had envisioned, because I just didn't want to play basketball no more.
Sure.
And so
there's a lot to playing basketball. It ain't just playing basketball.
It's a lot, man. And while I was out there, I came to the conclusion, it's just like, I will never limit myself, but I was like, I hate to use the word realistic, but I told myself, it's like, I don't want to do the overseas thing. Sure, could I have made it to the NBA? Yeah, I mean, I can do anything if I set my mind to it, but I'm not getting to the NBA. And so it just seemed like a path with a dead end. It's just like, why continue? Like, why keep treading down this path if I know that what the destination is going to be? So he's like, okay, well, you can't live in this house. We're gonna kick you out the house if you don't go to some sort of school. Always been a phenomenal student, discipline, everything about me.
That's another generational curse.
Yes. And he's like, so you got to go to some type of school. And I'm like, damn, okay, what am I gonna do? Long story short, barber school. I was always good with my hands. My dad's been a barber absolutely my whole life.
Yes.
And I was like, well, I'm going to barber school then. Like, kind of just being rebellious. Not necessarily being a smart ass, but, I mean, it's school, right?
Sure.
So you see my little attitude there. That's what I mean. I got to keep, I was definitely one of them, bro. Very smart mouth, like, just very, go to barber school. My dad still wasn't really supportive all throughout until I was damn near close to graduating. He seen my talent level, and then he kind of seen, okay, he can work at the family business and, you know, things like that. He started to see the benefit of it.
Yes.
Worked alongside him for several years, and then we had that, dispute, left the barbershop, and then this was the next.
If I may ask really quick, like, what's the dispute about? Because,
sure.
I remember coming to the barbershop. I mean, I'm sure you remember, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was coming through getting crispy.
I'll never forget. I was getting ready to do a facial on you. It was like a Neutrogena type shit, and he was like, you did like one of them. He's like, what's in the ingredients in the back of that bottle, my brother? He was like, you see right there that red 40. You was probably the first person to put me on that red 40. I was like, red 40, what the? I was like, what is that doing in here? And I remember like there's like these little beads that help exfoliate. They were like red. So. Oh wow. Yeah. Like little red. Oh, I'll never forget that. That's what I'm saying. Like, you were really one of the first people that I ever like.
It was. Yeah. I was trying to be out. Yeah, maybe that shop was beautiful. I was coming there, And I used to wait about 3-4 hours to get a cut. Yeah. And I mean, there was other chairs open. I mean, there's no disrespect to anybody else in the shop, but just your skill level, even at that young age, was just artistry. It's something different.
Exactly.
It's a different cut from Hakim. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Like, it's a different cut from Hakim. It's different.
It's not to toot my own horn, but like, I'm an artesian, bro. Like, with everything that I do, like, it's with intention. It's every, from the business that I opened and everything of that nature. Like, it's imprinted with, like, it's no different. It's just an extension of myself.
Yeah.
But the dispute, it mainly kind of started. It started kind of with my brother, and then it became something between my brother and my dad. Me being them two versus me, essentially. Being more mature than I am now, it was meant to happen.
Sure.
I mean, it happened. I was supposed to happen. Long story short, my brother left the shop and then went to go work at Burke's. And then when he was coming back, well, first he said he was coming back, and then he changed his mind, and then, you know, he didn't come back. And, you know, him and my dad had, you know, things going on between them. And, you know, we were a little excited to hear he was coming back. And then when he called again, it was like, I'm actually not coming back. And I'm just like, all right, like, I was like, I don't really, you know, care to have bro back here if he can't really make his mind up if you want to work alongside, you know, the family or not. And, you know, me and my dad had our words about it, and, you know, we were on the same page with it. And then, you know, he did come back. The main dispute was my clothing on the wall. Is what it all boiled down to. Before James had moved back into the shop, I was aware that he had the clothing and stuff like that. So I'm a very calculated person. Like, I think in several steps ahead, and I already foreseen that was going to become an issue. And me and my dad talked about it.
But what do you mean he had the clothing?
So he also did, like, he had his own, like, separate, like, brand and stuff like that.
Okay.
My dad gave me his word. He said, look, you had the clothing first. This is your thing. So, like, whatever he want to do with the clothing, like, that's up to you. Whether you want to give him a rack on the wall or whatever. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. Ultimately, like, James is my dad's firstborn.
Sure.
So.
His namesake?
Yeah. James, I feel like he had a problem a lot with just kind of figuring himself out. And I kind of I wouldn't even call it survivor's guilt, but me being the more successful brother, I feel like it ate at him. And then at the same time, he also got more nourishment from my parents for the lack thereof. They catered to him to replace, you know, to supplement the, that was nothing I was never jealous of, or, you know, nothing, because I've always treated bro, like, I've always envisioned it Black Sam and Nip, like, I've always envisioned it like that. I'm always been a team oriented, like, person. Always tried to have the rap group together. Like, I've always tried to keep, like, people together for the greater sake of, I'm very vision driven. I know where the ship is going. Like, I know where I'm steering it. You know, long story short, it was a couple, like, rub-ins, altercations, and I came in one day, and the clothing was just moved over, and I ended up bringing it up. I'm like, and there might have been some sort of altercation beforehand, so that was kind of like I wouldn't say the spit in the face, but it was that was kind of like the straw that broke the camel's back. So I texted my bros in the group chat. I said, the day has come. Like, they moved my clothes over. So it was me, James, and my dad in the shop. I still have the voicemail to this day. I actually put some of this content on one of my songs because it was a very pivotal moment. And I said, Pops, why'd you move my clothes over and, move his stuff over? And then, he was just like, what's really wrong with you? You jealous? Why you jealous? Like, and it wasn't even that. I said, Pops, you gave me a word. It's about the principle. Yeah. And then, he goes to say, well, if I give you something, I could take it back. I said, that's not how you raise this. That's not, you're not being a man of your word. And he stood on that.
Sure.
And got heated. It almost got physical in there. Well, it did. The incident before that, my brother put his hands on me in the barbershop. I was cutting one of my clients, one of my brothers. He's serving a life sentence right now. This is how I know like a lot of things could be different today. So my brother it was a very interesting day, and I'm not going to spill some tea about stuff that went on in his personal life, but he addressed me about something in the shop, and I was working on music, and he pretty much was, you know, it was a personal song. I mean, it's out today, and he was just like, "What's going on with you and Sabrina?" And I'm like, bro, that's an old song, bro. Like, I'm an artist. Like, you hear something, that's not the type of time I'm on right now. It could have been made a year or two ago, whatever. Come to find out, he was dealing with stuff in his personal life with his lady, but he was like deflecting, reflecting, projecting.
Okay.
And I was like, bro, like, stay out of it, because like he had a objective. Like, I could tell like something, like there was a splinter in his mind that like he butted in our conversation with intention to like, and I knew that, and I was like, bro, like, shut up. Like, I'm cutting one of my guys, so it's just like, and he was just like, he stood up like, what, fist ball, I'll kill you, like, you know, whoop. And I'm like, do it. And
while you're cutting?
While I'm cutting him.
Oh man.
Chokes me out, breaks the sink.
Oh, while you're cutting?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So I call my dad, and I'm like, look, James did this. I'm not coming back to the shop. We have a conversation that night, and this is kind of where I kind of started like separating from my dad, because he came over to the studio that night, and I'm telling him what happened and everything of that nature, and he's like, you know, what I got to do to get you back to the shop. You know, I cried to him. I cried to him because I told him, I was like, I just want my older brother. Like, none of this shit is competition. And I was telling him about like instances in the past of like when he done, you know, similar things like this to my siblings and stuff like that. And we're like telling him, but I think he was blinded by just him being the firstborn, and he just truly blinded by it. And so my dad left that night. Well, he was like, well, I was like, I'm gonna come back, but I don't want him to be there for at least a week. Like, let me get resettled back in. Like, bro, the sink broke. Like, I mean, like, he got to suffer some sort of like consequence. Like, something. Yeah. And he's like, okay, a week. And then he's like, you know, like, my dad wanted me back. Like, he knew, like, you know, how well how good I was for the business.
Sure.
And he was like, you know,
I mean, because you can only wait so long for a Hakim cut before you finally break down and hop in that chair.
Bro. So, and then he was like, you know, booth rent, like, you know, you don't have to pay for it as long as you don't want. Like, I'm like, cool. I was like, let me give it some thought. Like, not even 2 days later, I'm like, look, I want 2 months off booth rent, and then can James just not work for a week before he comes back? I come into the shop to meet with him, my dad, and then I say the week thing, and he's like, nah, I already kind of told him he can come back 2 days from now. And I'm like, okay. He was just like, you know, you don't really know his financial situation with the whoop. And I'm like, all right. And then he's just like, and then 2 months booth rent, you know, that's a little much. We just gonna do one. I'm like, okay. Still decided to stay. Then the t-shirt incident happened after that. And then
this is more than the t-shirt.
Yes, it was. Yeah. So
it's way more than a t-shirt.
Way more, bro. And then just again the deep rootedness between just us growing up. I just feel like he had a very conflicting, like, just not finding himself, like, within high school, like, just running with the wrong group, and just with football it didn't go how he wanted it, and just a lot of things. And it's just like, Hakim, success, like. But again, like, I just don't. I'm a very non-material. I don't. All the accolades and stuff don't mean a damn thing to me, bro. Yeah, I cried to my dad that night. I was like, I just want my big bro. Like, I'm tired of always feeling like and this is still a chip that I walk with today. Like, again, with how things went with my father and stuff, like, I felt like I could never let my guard down because no one's gonna save me. Like, I just,
like the one you're supposed to be able to count on to say, I got you. I'm gonna protect. I'm gonna
whatever it is.
That shit hard. There. That shit hardened me. That shit hardened me. Sure. Not in the most beneficial way. Sure. Truthfully.
Sure.
So when the incident happened, the T-shirt thing, like it was extremely tension and borderline violence, getting ready to go down. Ended up leaving. I left for a week, and then my dad, I pulled up a week later, and you know, I walk in, my dad's like, "Hey, Khalif," like, you know, my dad has kind of like this toxic thing where it's just like everything is just all of a sudden like just all good again.
Sure.
I was with my guy Don. We had a tote. So I walk in and he's like, "Hey, Khalif." I look him dead in his eyes. I'm like, "I'm not shaking your hand." I packed up all my merch, and that was the last thing I said. And then 3 years went when we didn't say a single word to each other. I had 3 whole years. Wow. Not a single text, no nothing. I opened a business within that time. I had another child within that time.
Was he reaching out to you?
No, there was nothing.
Wow.
There was nothing. No text, no nothing. And me being the father now, like I said, some things are inexcusable.
Sure.
The love that I have for all of my children, and I'm not saying he don't love us, but it's just like, I can never sit back and have social media and still be connected with my child from a distance and see him open a business knowing damn well I opened one too.
Or see him another person.
Yeah.
Like see another life come.
And like if my child opened up a business, like you getting a text like, "Hey son, like though you may never respond to this," or "Look, I'm immensely proud of you. Yeah. I know what went into opening a business. Like, I love you."
Wait, brick and mortar business.
Brick and mortar.
Y'all. Like not just
I love you.
Internet.
I love you. Like, I hope you know we can speak soon, but something.
Sure.
And it wasn't not a single time.
So 3 years later, you reach out after visiting your grandmother.
No, I didn't even visit my grandmother, but my grandmother, we had a call, and she was kind of, I don't know how much of the story she knew.
Okay.
She knew that I wasn't there, and I'm same with your mama. Like I hate to call myself like the chosen one, but again, like within like my family, like I'm kind of like the cornerstone of the like it
is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
And she just said, like, before I die, like make sure like you make things right with your father. Mm-hmm. And she's still alive today, but that was always kind of deep seated like in my mental. And what drove me to, and this is why I'm tell you like why the whoopings and everything, like my dad was a great father, so I want to always put that out before anything.
Sure.
But
and I think to the community,
I've experienced
it always looked like that as well. Like I always perceived it as like, man, if I could have a family like
exactly,
you know, like the Muhammads.
Exactly. But upholding that image was a part of the toxicity within the home, because it wasn't always like that at all, truthfully. Sure. So again, my dad was a phenomenal father, and I am the man that I am today because of him.
Yeah.
But again, I've experienced trauma.
Sure.
And so with that 3 years went by, the reason why I went to see him is because God, I have dreams every night. I have vivid dreams, very vivid dreams every single night, 4 to 5 dreams every single night. And at least 4 out of 7 days a week, I have extremely gruesome, violent dreams of my dad killing me or me killing my dad.
Wow.
Like, wow. Extremely graphic, like dreams, like no exaggeration.
Still?
Yeah. Wow. I can't lie.
Wow.
I had a dream like 2-3 nights ago.
Wow.
Like one to the head. Like
really?
Yeah.
Do you think that's a product of trauma or things that you're, I mean, what is that? How do you interpret that?
Man, I almost get teary-eyed about it. Man, I don't know, because I'm always one of those persons that say I don't need a therapist, because I'm a very self-aware person, and this just could me being young and naive maybe to the fact that maybe I do need one. I know the meaning behind the dreams, but I just don't know how to fully heal. Like, I don't, and it's like, do you? Can you? Like, I don't. There's certain questions to answer. I just don't. Do I just talk about it all the time? And I because the reason why I went back after those 3 years, and I didn't text him, I pulled up to the shop, and when I walked in, he was like, "I'll be with you in a second." He didn't even recognize me.
Oh wow!
It was so like out the blue, and then he looked back up, and he was just like, "Khalif," like,
oh wow,
he shed a tear.
Oh wow!
Yeah, and we sat and talked for hours.
Oh wow, how good!
And my girl, before I went, she was like, "Well, what if he like, is still on some like get out or like?" I'm like, "Well, I still find the closure that I was looking for. I came with love and I got exited. Now the ball's in that court. I don't have that with me."
Yeah.
The dreams got better, but they still occur, and I was hoping when I bridged that, I thought that would close that door. Sure. Because I was like, look, though I've opened the business and all these things, and I don't even talk about it no more, like, I'm having these dreams. So I'm like, this is deep rooted in my subconscious.
Yeah.
And that's where I knew that, like, I have to go and, like, just close this door. Like, I just knew that that's what I had to do to essentially stop the dreams. And, here we are today. Me and my dad are great. Like, it doesn't feel exactly how it felt before.
Sure.
Of course, something's always going to change after a situation like that.
Yeah.
But, I mean, the love is still there. Like, again, I still love and respect him.
Have you told him about the dreams?
I haven't. No. No.
Have you heard of body code, emotion code?
I have not.
So because we're energetic beings and emotions and trauma hold energy, it gets stuck in our bodies, different places.
Yeah.
So body code and emotion code, you can do it on yourself, but there are people who are professional practitioners of it. They help you literally release those traumas and emotions that are trapped in your body.
Trauma code?
Emotion code.
Emotion code.
Or body code.
Body code.
Either way. Some people call it either one.
Now, is this a form of like chiropractic?
No, it's a form of energy healing.
Okay.
Yeah. I've experienced it, and there's nothing like it that I've done. And I've done lots of energy healings and, chakra alignments and crystal healings and that type of stuff, but nothing like this ever. So yeah, just check it out.
Yeah, I'm always willing to try because I mean,
for sure.
I'm a very very vivid dreamer, and like I said, I don't have these dreams as much. But yeah, the fact they still occur shows that maybe this is from childhood, and it's not because of these most recent, within these last 5 years, the shop dispute situation.
Oh, for sure.
Well, some of the fear of getting, when you're talking about the whoopings as well. I mean, that could be some other things that it could be holding. Now, once you, like, literally, it's just like how, when people want to eat meat, right? Well, you got to know the person who raised the cow. Like, you got to know who slaughtered that cow. Yeah. And then you can have a burger. Right. Because it's one cow and it's one animal that ate one thing.
Yes.
Yeah. Right.
I just had a debate in the shop and we was just talking about that. I was like, look, man, we were just talking about, like, are we designed to eat meat and stuff like that?
Sure.
But I was like, look, at the end of the day, the same way you should be aware of, again, how that animal, its quality of life, before you consumed it. Like, if everybody, I was like, same with religion, it's like, there's just a right way to do things. So if you're going to consume the meat, at least, know where it was sourced from. Was it taken care of?
Yes.
But a lot of y'all, meat that y'all eating lived a life of hell and suffering. And then you turn around and,
the energy is transferred.
Put a flame to the mug. You put a flame to it, burn it up, change its molecular structure, and then you consume it. And then y'all wonder why y'all feel the same way the animal did.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Anxious.
Yeah.
Scared.
Yeah. All of that. You are what you eat.
You are what you eat. Ooh.
Yeah.
No, that's real right there.
So I just say, like, you know, do what you do, but at least do it the most ethical, moral, you know, way. Like halal, like make sure, like, are y'all not even thankful, like, of the humans, like, I mean the animals sacrifice.
When's the last time they prayed
today?
over some meat?
Y'all
like
don't.
Some real meat.
Y'all don't.
So let's get into that to this nutrition part now.
Yeah.
In this last piece of this.
Yeah.
You have a flourishing business that spreads health and wellness through how you eat.
Yeah.
And so many people want health and wellness through a pill. They want it through a magic potion. They want it through an elixir.
Right.
Talk about how you bring it to people just with this food movement.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it just really started with me becoming more conscious of what I was putting into my body. And then it just got to me, you know, requesting, you know, Sabrina should be baking and stuff at the crib. Just every now and then. It wasn't nothing too crazy. But as I was becoming more conscious and cutting things out, I'd be like, yo, can you tweak that or just replace that with this? And she was like, yeah, sure, let me find a recipe or something like that. And then before you know it, like, she was making a 100% all well-rounded, you know, plant-based treat. And I'm like, yo, you know, me being an entrepreneur, I'm like, yo, this would do well. And at the same time, we can show people that health does not come at a sacrifice. Like, people just always assume that, how you get your protein, how do you we do it like, oh, well, I don't want no dry ass cookie. Like, it's like they don't know no better. And when you're ignorant and you haven't got shown any better, you're oblivious to the fact that it doesn't come at a sacrifice. Is that we just been trained to accept the standard. Yeah. When really, you know, there's other ways to do it. So that was a big thing. And then when we linked up with Justice and Jordan, that was when it was several FaceTimes between me and Justice that I was really, that's when the movement kind of really started to gain momentum, in the sense of us wanting to kind of find our role in this movement. Sure. And I'm like, look, bro, one, as far as two black men coming together, I'm like, let's do this together. Let's add our momentum towards one thing, and let's give that to the people. Because we were originally going to try to do the farmers market and the hay market. Okay. I'm like, bro, I was looking into this stuff, license regulations, stuff like that. And me always coming from I'm going to do it myself. I'm like, bro, look, you know, I sourced a couple things, a tent, a table. We'll look into the licenses or whatever. But, bro, like, we can be up and running in no time. We can have our own hours and everything like that. Yeah. And it truly came together in like a week once we like made our mind up. We started a group chat. I ordered everything. Yo, we split this, whoop-de-whoop. And then, bam, like, we set everything up. And, like, we was up and running in no time. And then when the people came out to support it, you know, I was telling them, I'm like, man, like, we just got this feeling of, like, bro, like, we really frontline at a movement, like, and it felt like it felt good, like we were doing something like really like positive, like really something really like special for the people, like, and they would come through and like, yeah, you know, I've been looking at juicing and stuff like that, like, you know, I always wanted to try something. And it's just like, and, you know, Justice will tell you, it's like, the same way Yaki preaches, it's just like, don't buy the stuff from us, but like, you know, you don't have to buy it from us, but look, just go make it yourself or go do it. Like, ingredients is on the back, and if you reach out to us, we can, I'm sure, happily tell you like how you made it, or
like, this ain't proprietary.
No, not at all. But like, just the fact that like it's a good introductory level into the world. Because again, I can't tell you how many times people try to cook and was like, oh wow. But I can't tell you how many times, like, you know, old conservative, you know, European drove up, came by, and like, oh, what are you selling? Oh, plant-based goods, organic, everything. Oh, okay. It just they ain't want to try it. They ain't care. But so the moment they hear that, it's just like, so they let me know, you know, who we really trying to, you know, hyper focus on, you know, getting this to is, I mean, essentially the youth, and we had a good amount of youth come up, and again, for them to show and, I mean, consume food that was extremely healthy for you, and it doesn't come at no expense.
No, look, I'm gonna keep it true too. Like, I really respected and loved how on my social media, when I see y'all on with the organic exchange, or even when I shared something, right, the response from Black people was great. It was brilliant.
Yeah, and I
love that. I love that because I feel like sometimes Black folks, like, we're like the last to get the good shit. So with nutrition, it's like, how come we the last to get on like the organic trend and the in the vegan trend when we started that shit? Like,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It was the Dr. CBs that were first on that, bro. Like that were first on that.
And again, even the Nation of Islam, how to eat to live.
How to eat to live. 1 meal a day.
Yeah, for real.
The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was preaching 1 meal a day.
Yeah.
Since the beginning, right? And now, you know, you see the people come out to, if you can only eat 1 meal a day, you will be so healthy. You know, like the Surgeon General, the what you call it, you know, everybody now is on the 1 meal a day. But when I was telling people 1 meal a day, my freshman year of college, I had, you know, one of those big classes. We have 400 people in the class at UNL. And it was a nutrition class. I took it because I was like, oh, nutrition, man, I'm about to kill this. I know nutrition. I'm about to kill it. And they said, bring a article that teaches you about eating healthy. What I brought the little, so in the final call, you always have the eat to live cut out. Like, it's like always one of the pages is the eat to live, where it just tells the Black man how to eat to live. It's like a page cut out which talks about the 1 meal a day. It says you can drink coffee if you want to throughout the day to keep it going, whatever, right? And again, now what I'm learning about caffeine, because I didn't used to drink coffee. Now I'm learning caffeine can do some good things for me. Anyways, so but see, again, it was the Nation that was saying, oh, it's okay to drink a little coffee. Right. Anyways, so I brought that article there and just got chastised. I got an F. She was talking about how stupid I am. Wow. How, you know, how this is dangerous. This is horrible. And now all the rage is 1 meal a day.
That's what I'm saying. So how old was you when you was like getting these articles to?
Oh man,
that's what I'm saying, bro. It's crazy that you was like standing 10 toes like this.
Well, but here's the thing too. I was blessed because my grandparents owned the first true natural health food store and vitamin store in Lincoln. The Good Earth. It's called the Good Earth.
It's still.
Nah.
Oh. So where was that at?
So we kept it going. Like, we called it the Good. Okay. So in 1983 or 1982, I think, they started the Good Earth health food store in the Clock Tower, like on 70th and A in Lincoln. Okay. And they had moved from California. They learned about all this health shit in California. My grandparents on my mom's side, they learned about all this health shit in California. They were hippies. My grandfather went to San Jose State. That's how he got cool with Black Panthers, because he met real Black Panthers from the movement. You know, because they was in Oakland, San Jose. They was in, you know, San Francisco. You know, it's huge Bay Area. You know, Bay Area is huge with Black Panthers. And so my grandfather was friends with Black Panthers. So that's how he became. You know, he had a job at the telephone company. He'd say, you know, like on the hour, every hour, he just stand up and say, "Free Angela," just out of nowhere, just because. Anyways, so yeah, it's wild. But so okay, so they learned health from one of their cousins or something, and they brought it back to Nebraska, trying to bring this big health movement to Nebraska. They failed miserably. They kept, but they had like 3 or 4 houses that they owned in the Bay Area in California. They kept selling their houses to fund the store. They kept losing the money. Now those houses are worth like 10, 12 million and stuff. And but they sold them early to to fund the health food store that just went under, kept tanking the money. But in that sense, they learned how to eat correctly, why organic foods are needed, why you eat whole foods, your food combination charts, you know, all those types. I grew up in my kitchen, in my grandfather's kitchen was a food combination chart, you know, so I knew, like, you're not supposed to mix foods, and if you do, it's in the same combination, like fruits, just your starch, just your chart. It's huge. The food combination chart is huge because you're not supposed to be gassy. Like, that's not a thing. You're not supposed to be walking around passing gas all day long. Like, it doesn't happen when you mono eat. If you eat an apple, you're not going to be gassy, brother. Like, it just ain't going to happen. But yeah, you sit down, you eat a meat, a carb, a fruit, and a veggie, and then drink some milk. Oh God. Oh God.
Deem that as normal.
Please no. So I had all that already in me, right? So I knew no fluoride when I was a boy, a kid. I knew milk didn't do the body good as a kid. So my father was telling me, don't stand up for the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. And then I remember my grandfather, he would come to my schools and check on me in classes and stuff, just every now and again because he just was like that. Yeah. And I remember him standing in the corner of my classroom, and there was this is like another core memory. I was in like kindergarten. Yeah. And the teacher saying, and milk gives you strong, and then everybody starts to say bones, right? And I remember looking at Papa John like, I'm not saying milk gives you strong bones because we don't drink milk. Like, you know, dairy, we know dairy ain't where it's at, right? You know,
crazy how they indoctrinated us, man.
So I'm in school going against the Pledge of Allegiance, and milk does the body good.
Bro, all them posters and.
Oh man, yeah, the milk mustache.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
when I just look back on it, I'm like, God damn.
I grew up drinking milk like every dinner.
Yeah, you used to drink.
I didn't stop drinking milk until I met Ishmael.
Oh man,
with dinner.
Uh-huh.
Diabolical.
I had to keep you off that milk, baby.
Isn't that crazy? He was like, you know, you wake up in the morning, you probably stop having to blow your nose and coughing if you just stop drinking milk. And I was like, really?
Right.
Okay. So I did, and it stopped like right away.
Oh man, I tell you what. Yeah, they did us dirty, man. They did us dirty.
Yeah.
But I'm just so glad that you have a health movement going, that you're teaching people how to eat. You're using your influence, your platform for the good of the people. You are inspiring people. Yeah. You're educating people. And I mean, you're cool as fuck, fam.
Yeah.
So
Appreciate it, bro.
It really, really, really helps when you have an ambassador that's cool doing it. You know, it makes a difference. It really does.
Cause I mean, that's one thing that I noticed. Like, cause I get the backlash every now and then, but like, it's just one thing I really learned is because it was ingrained in me when I was younger, but now it's like I can really use that tool. Like, I know how to use that tool now, so it's like now I really stand 10 toes on it, not giving I don't give a damn. Like, I don't give a damn.
Well, what are we here for? Another 70? What? People are. I think your father told me 67 now for the American male. It's 67, right? Yeah. 67 years old. Nuts. Okay. Now me, hopefully, I want to get to 100, 150. Same. But even if I just get to 100, I only got 60 more left.
Right. We ain't even halfway yet. Like,
it's time to stop caring what the fuck people say.
Truly.
It really is.
Just from a lot of people that ain't even gonna be here, and y'all keep it up. Right. Y'all keep it up.
So that's what it's about.
Live by the sword, die by it.
There it is. So we're going to do it. So again, I want y'all to please check out the Organic Exchange. Hey, drop socials, drop all the places that people need to find you to get the good information and to be entertained and educated with the music, all that. Yeah. Where do we go?
Most definitely. A good start is find me on Instagram, Hakim, EYEHAKIM. Through there, just scrolling, y'all gotta do your due diligence. So I can't leave y'all with all the information. Y'all got a mind for the diamond. So just start there, go through the post, find what you like, find what catches your eye, and follow that path and see where it leads you.
Bang bang.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time, my brother.
Yeah, no, I appreciate you having me, man. It was a very fruitful conversation, and I can only hope we ignited a spark that'll hopefully kindle with somebody to stop by to listen or check it out.
So look, I think we have to end this the only proper way that I think we should, since Hakim is in the building and we both had a little bit of the same growing up. Yeah. So we're gonna leave this message here with the old Muslim greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, wa alaikum salam.
Peace.
So,
you are now listening to
Journey for Two.